Mayday, Mayday. It is May the 1st, guys. I'm not sure when I'm going to actually upload this, but today, when I'm recording, it is May the 1st. And I actually wasn't even going to come on today. I personally was not feeling it. However, I was kind of like led to. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Um, and now I feel like it. So let me change these glasses because these slide way too much. But first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my video when I talked about my buddy Clarence. Um, Unfortunately, Clarence passed 2 years ago. Um, but he was very happy. His friends said up until the very end, and one of the things about him was he lived his life the best way he could, and I love that about him because here he was. He had not really any possessions, any definitely no home, unless you consider a cardboard box your home. Um, Nothing really earthly that he could really say was his, and yet he was content. He was happy because he just lived up to his highest, I would say, ideals, if you take out the drinking, of course. Um, so he was very special, and he will continue to kind of teach me and humble me in ways that I think are just beautiful. So, and one thing I will say about him that I didn't include before, he was a craggedy looking guy, older guy. I told you that he was a white guy. He had like blonde and gray hair, very craggly looking. However, whenever I would look him square in the eyes, he had such a twinkle and youthfulness to him. And I know that was his loving spirit that just came out. Despite his not taking care of his body, um, and the effects of no medical care or no dental care, and the effects of that on his body, he still had this youthfulness and this shine about him. And, he was truly a wonderful guy. So, to all those that were moved by him, I just think it's beautiful because he certainly moved me for sure. Okay, so another thing I wanted to say was to everyone that said, hey, thanks for reminding me to like others' posts, especially the political posts, for the people that are putting their neck out there on the line for all of us to bring us either news or resistance, etc. Let's give them a like and a follow if you want. It's so important to get their message out there, and there's quite a few people that are very courageous in doing this. So let's support them because really their fight is our fight, right? And it just takes a second to do, and there's just no reason why we can't do that. So just like their stuff, just like it. I'm not even asking to like my stuff. Just like their stuff. It's a kindness, and believe it or not, every little act of kindness is rewarded. It really is. You know, and the intention behind it is always rewarded. So let's support our brothers and sisters out there helping us in so many ways, by putting stuff out there for us so that we can know and be aware. All right. Um, so Social Security. I'm going to get the little mundane, everyday stuff out the way here because I do want to have a first session on the power of love, divine love, how it works, and how we utilize it. Okay? But Social Security, if you had owed them money, this administration put in a thing to take 100% of your check um, until that debt was paid. Well, now they've reduced it to 50%. So, which is still not great, but it's better. So they're not just wiping out people's checks, boom, just like that. So that's a good thing. A Democrat won in Ohioan seat by 60 points on April the 30th. Um, Either April 29th or the 30th. If my dates are wrong, I'm sorry. It's one of those days. But anyway, um, that's a blowout. That's a landslide. And in Iowa, okay? Iowa. All right. Mohsen Madan was set free. He was the Palestinian Columbian University student who was protesting the war. He was set free. A federal judge released him, and he still has to go through his trial. However, he's a free man, and he's no longer being locked up for speaking out. So that's definitely a good step in the right direction. Um, I had told you guys about power outages, and they're going to be still ongoing, even after the big one that Europe suffered through. I said right after that we would still have pockets of them, even here throughout the United States. And yesterday, central Pennsylvania, to include Pittsburgh, okay, that's how far reach it was because Pittsburgh is more west, was completely without power. And it was due to, it started off as a tornado and taking down electrical lines, and it just kind of cascaded from there into major outages throughout central and parts of western Pennsylvania, and still hasn't been restored, not fully. And they're over now 30, 40 hours of power outages. And this will happen, stagnantly, but throughout the United States still. Um, so, yeah. Israel is experiencing some serious wildfires and sandstorms that's crippling them. And it's just interesting to me because they wouldn't do a legit ceasefire on their own. Well, now they're being kind of forced to. And the wildfires are just they're begging for international support. Begging. So, to all the Israeli citizens over there, I just wish the best for you, safety, but I also hope that it does not touch the Palestinians who are already suffering from their housing being demolished, etc. So basically, my wish is for everyone in that region safety and a quick end to this. But one good thing, like I said, it definitely puts a temporary end to. It's a forced ceasefire. Okay, that to me, that's a good thing. That there is no war type stuff going on over there. Um, so yes, now as far as shortages of food. So many of you asked me, what do I see regarding shortages of food? Okay, I already made a prediction about this a while ago, but I will sort of repeat it. I definitely see shortages of food, but I don't see like totally empty shelves. I don't, unless people get supremely dumb and start hoarding, it's not going to be necessary. There will be like some brands that you've never seen before on the shelves, replacing other type brands. It'll be that kind of thing. And a lot of that, um, like they're unrecognizable brands, but that's what I see. They're still on the shelves. We're still able to eat. No one should starve at all. Um, but yes, it's definitely going to have an effect. The tariffs, I talked about tariffs last week. Um, and I still say, you know, put the money away. I've been saying that for months now. Just have a bit of cash on hand, at home, readily available. And there's going to be different reasons for it. Just different reasons you'll need it. Please don't ask me what, they'll just be different. Shortages, but not only shortages, power outages at times, and then systems not working, that type of thing. But as far as like those outages, there'll be in pockets, but they'll be short lived. None I see stretching on. I don't see any stretching into any type of long periods of time. And as for the shortages, yes, some things may not be available, but it'll be very limited things. Like mostly you'll be able to buy everything that you want and need. Um, and that will be for the duration. Okay. Articles of impeachment is another one that people are asking me about. Um, so will they be successful? No, I don't really see them going anywhere. One of the main reasons is I still don't see him around. I just don't. I just, he's just not there at some point. Okay, either physically or mentally or whatever. He's just not there. But we'll no. And you don't even have to be psychic to see that the Republicans would not allow, they would not, they wouldn't have the support of the Republican votes, right? So and anyone that thinks that they would is just fooling themselves. It's just not gonna, it just wouldn't happen. So, um, that's my answer to that as far as the impeachment papers. Um, and I'll just cover a few questions. The Schumann resonance. Someone asked basically, was it real? Yes, it is real. It records like basically electromagnetic waves, okay? But it's limited. It's not picking up, there's other energies to factor in. And on some of those energies, we don't even have the materials to register or clock or measure those energies. So, yes, it is real in picking up electromagnetic energies, but there's others energies beyond the scope of electromagnet. Okay, that are so much finer, but so much they're more meaningful in the actual pulse of the earth that we're not picking up and that we really can't pick up yet at this point. Um, so it is real. Yes. Let's see. Question about spirit soul. Can more than one human share a single soul? I've had a few readings that mentioned that I was sharing a soul with a family member. So you have to understand that a soul has its own soul signature, or shall I say, energy signature. And it's individual, it's unique to that specific soul. There are others, and I talked about this when I talked about like twin souls type thing. There are others that can resonate very close to our soul signature, okay? But no two are alike. They can vibrate in almost perfect harmony, almost, and they can be extremely similar. But I don't know if I would subscribe to someone sharing your soul and or you sharing theirs or they're in yours type of thing. I've never seen that. Never seen that. And the way I saw the soul signature, that doesn't seem to be possible. Okay? So that's sort of my answer to that. But you can vibrate very close and you can be almost in perfect harmony. Okay? Let's see. Uh Vina, what do you think about YouTubers who have what could be called spiritual channels who still support Trump? Could they really intuitively see good in him, other than the lessons he is teaching us all? I mean, could someone who is in touch with their guides really believe his cruel actions are coming from a good hearted place? Would guides from higher dimensions communicate that? So let me just tell you, a while ago, back last summer, I put out a video on Trump and his purpose. And one of the things that I said was that he is a test. He was placed as a test of our integrity. And every now and then the human race gets certain tests, whether it be through natural disasters or plagues or pure people that embrace pure evil, which Trump has. So, and in that being that test, it's basically like if you support him and his actions, you failed the test, because who supports evil other than someone who has it in their core? So you don't want to support. You can have the understanding that he is a test of whatever, our integrity, our goodness, etc. But to support him and to support that, you are basically falling in line with that. And you're giving like the green light for that, in your own system, in your own morality, in your own living day to day. Okay? And so it is not a what I would call a good spiritual practice. Another thing, it's important to note that, you know, and I've talked about this before when I've talked about karma. Intention is almost the same when it comes to accumulating karma as the action itself. So if a person supports someone that does evil actions, right? That's intention behind that. And that is just about the same as if you've done the evil actions. So I personally cannot support a man who cares nothing for other fellow human beings, who is greedy beyond measure, who just looks upon people just to use them, who thinks it's okay that women, another species that is similar to them but slightly different, is inferior to them, not understanding that we all share a part in divinity, right? And I mean, I could go on and on and on about his evil tendencies that he has lived and embraced, but I don't need to because most of you know them, fully acquainted with them. So I don't support him. Um, I know that he is a test for us, um, but the human Trump, I do not support. And I can't tell anyone else to support him, and I can't get behind his actions or his the type of person he is. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Um, I those that are saying the channels that do still support that type of evil have obviously not seen the bigger picture, have not touched the hem of true love, because you can never fall in line with those type of actions. You may understand them, okay, but you can't fall in line and be supportive of those type of actions. All right, so that's kind of my answer on that. Okay, so let's talk about the power of love. And like I said, this will be the first in a series of um, on divine love, okay? And today's is going to be kind of brief because I wanted to sink in and kind of um, give everyone a chance to sort of wrap their head around what I'm saying. I believe I started it at 22 minutes. And my wonderful timestamp bandit, I'm sure, will get the exact time. They always do. And let you know exactly when it starts. So if you need to come back to it, you can. But the very first thing is that you must change your expectations, okay, of what and how you think love is and what it is, right? And a lot of people think that love can only function in one way, and that way must be all the time harmony, happiness, joy, etc. Okay? And in certain spheres, it is, right? In certain spheres, the spiritual sphere, right? But this world is discordant, okay? This world is purposely designed to be discordant, okay, so that we can experience certain things in certain ways, right? But that doesn't mean love still isn't present, pulsing through it all the time. Remember, this existence, this me, this you, is not separate from love or the spiritual world. It is just simply a part of it, a separate part of it, right? So let's use my cube that I got last week that I just love to death, right? So this is the spiritual sphere, right? And this is representative of all things spiritual, right? And we are just one facet of that spiritual sphere, right? But we're still a major part of it, okay? And we're never separate from spirit. There's no like spiritual world and then off to the side human world. The spiritual pulses through our existence, but just in a different way, a different view. So, when I say you have to change your viewpoint of what you believe love should be in this discordant world, what that means is that you have to know that even within the disharmony, the discordant, the discord, the whatever, okay, it is still a different view of the whole picture, right? So imagine, I love this, my quartz crystal oblique. Imagine, right? You get to see you just get to see the point of this, which is what most of us see most of the time, right? The sharp angle, okay, living day to day, right? Okay. But in reality, it's connected to this entire oblique, right? It's still a part of it, but we're only seeing this part, this sharp angle. But when we have the full picture, we see what it truly is, right? So the same thing applies to changing the definition of what you think love, because love operates in different ways. So here is another example. If my husband comes in and yells at me, says, "Hey, you want me to wash your car?" Okay, well, to me, that seems kind of harsh, right? That seems like, why are you yelling? But the full picture of it is, it's a loving act for him to want to wash my car. Okay? But I'm only seeing the yelling part. And that's what we see. Okay? We see just the harsh aspects of things. We're not always seeing the whole picture of things. I'll give you another example. You look at someone and they've lived a rough life. It seems like so many bad things have happened to them, right? Okay? And this is going to stretch your understanding of things into a really big picture. But this person, I mean, they've had so many horrible things happen to them, and you just are like, oh my God, like, why? Why do they have to suffer so much? Well, I've been telling you guys that no one comes here without control over basically what happens in their lives. Yes, while we're here, we make choices that affect certain things, but even those choices are within the realm of choices we gave ourselves when we came here. Okay? we don't know what that person is trying to pay back, is trying to rectify, and trying to balance for themselves. So, although here in this life they are suffering, we're only seeing the harsh aspect of their suffering, right? In reality, okay, they are balancing things for themselves. Okay? They are literally, and that right there is another example of love in action. Balancing. Okay? Divine love which pulses at and throughout everything. But it is not that our human love. It goes way above and beyond our human love. Okay? It is all encompassing. It is perfect and it is harmonious. And in another session, I will explain how just touching upon that love can change things for us. But that person's life that I'm telling you about is another example of the balancing, the rectifying, and bringing that person to a fuller understanding of what they need to know. Okay? So, even amongst those so-called suffering or even days that we are sad, that is love trying to show us something. I was feeling particularly sad recently, and it was like this depression basically came over me. Okay? Now, if I ascribe to the principle, oh well, if I'm not feeling happy, then something's wrong. That would lead to even more and more depression, more and more sadness, right? But I know that that is just one side, one facet of something that I need to understand, that I need to feel, that I need to look at. So I actually took a little time with myself and looked at why I thought I was feeling sad. Okay? That in itself is love. That in itself is love. And when I actually realized why I was feeling sad, it was a little hurtful to me because it was something that I was doing. However, it enabled me to look at it, right? And to kind of resolve it in a way. I was able to kind of resolve it. And I won't go into specifically what it was because that's kind of deeply personal. And although I am pretty much open with you guys, I do have one or two secrets. But the fact that I was able to look at it, okay, that was love helping me. Okay? And I was able to move through it. We are not going to always experience love as the pure happiness, wonderfulness, joyous feeling that we think. And that is why I say We have to change our expectations of what we think love is and know that it's pulsing through each and every moment of our lives in some kind of way. And if you get out of the expectation of what you think it should be and actually experience it, you'll be able to see the full picture of it. The absolute full picture. Okay? It's like, it's also like, and to put it very simply, because what they're just showing me, it's like a baby screaming, crying at the top of its lungs, right? That's an ugly picture. That's not happiness. That's not pretty, right? But that baby's basically telling you, I'm hungry. And so that's how it's coming out. And basically, once the baby's fed, they're good. The screaming stops, the crying stops, right? But sometimes things will appear in not the way we expect. Okay? Because of how we are living, or the fact that we are living in this discordant type of world. This is just one world of many where we experience certain things in a certain way. There are other worlds where we can experience a more harmonious type of existence. There are other worlds where we can experience a rougher existence than this for those that need it. Okay? So that is the very first thing. Work on your expectations of what and how you think love should look like. And once you start to work on that, you will see love in everything. Everything. It pulses through every moment, everything. And you will start to see that pulse. And that's where your harmony comes in. You see, you can still experience the harmony, the happiness here, okay? But it's blended with your understanding that it may show up as discord or as something else troubling, maybe. Okay? So work on your expectation, what you think love should look like, and instead accept the fact that it's always operating, always there. It's just showing up in ways here that it needs to show up. All right? So I think I'm going to end that there. And so everyone can kind of let that sink in, kind of work on that. And we will definitely continue this discussion. All right? And I just wish everyone well. My love to you all. And like I like to do, if you want to send out love, good thoughts, whatever, do that. Okay? Because anyone can pick it up and utilize it and use it. All right? And don't forget to like those videos you see, those social media posts that are helping us, that are informing us, okay, and that are courageous. All right? So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll be back soon.